Hello, my name's Ann Irons. I'm a CPA here in Bellingham, and I'm happy today to host today's show of Strictly Business, here with Dr. Mark Hausman and attorney Jason Carrozza. Welcome.
Yeah.
The BBA is a local business organization with a mission to help local businesses and also to give back to the community. As I said, today's guests are attorney Jason Carrozza and Dr. Mark Hausman. Before speaking with our guests, I'd like to tell you a little bit about, give you a brief recap of the last meeting that we had, the last BBA meeting. And basically what we do is every month on the third Wednesday of the month, we host a meeting from 6 to 8 p.m., either at a local business or at a local restaurant, and have it catered by a local restaurant if it's held at a business. The topic for the April meeting was an update from the town administrator and also Dennis Rain and Marilyn Matthew, who is the CFO for the town. And we had a very interesting discussion about the town finances, as well as just an update of what's going on in the town and also other communities who are battling some of the same financial issues that we are. Let's start off with some questions today. Why don't you start off, Dr. Hausman, by telling us a little bit about how you got into the business that you're in and the types of services that you provide.
Sure. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on the show, Ann.
Oh, you're welcome.
And when I went to school, I did my undergrad at the University of Nebraska, and I knew I wanted to be in the healthcare field. I was kind of looking into physical therapy a little bit. I had always seen a chiropractor in the past for sports injuries and stuff like that, and decided the chiropractic was kind of my field to go into. From there, I went on to National College of Chiropractic in Lombard, Illinois, and there I met my wife, Nicole, and we moved out here to Bellingham. We opened our practice on November 1st of 2003. It's at 90 Mendon Street, right on 140 here in town, and we've been there ever since. Some of the services that we provide, it's chiropractic care, so that means it's natural pain relief. I use my hands to do my work, and just helping the general public for different aches and pains and different types of ailments that they come in to see me for.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like a lot of work. Attorney Carrozza, how about you? How did you get into the business, and what kinds of services do you provide?
Thanks for having me on, Ann. I do appreciate it. My practice, law practice, is focused into two distinct areas, that being estate planning and then also family law. And estate planning is helping people set up wills, trusts, healthcare proxies, durable power of attorneys, and the like. Also do a lot of work with corporations, formation, and also governance. And the other side of my practice is litigation focused, with divorce being kind of the pinnacle of that, and then also guardianship proceedings. We do a lot of work with probating estates, which is the settlement of someone's estate when they pass away. I broke into solo practice 7 years ago. I went to undergraduate down at the University of Tampa, and I attended law school in Boston. I always had an entrepreneurial spirit. I knew that eventually I would start my own practice, but I needed to gain the experience before I had enough courage to do that. So I have a variety of past experience in different sort of law firms. I worked for civil, corporate. I also did a judicial clerkship while I was in law school. Kind of got exposed to all the areas of law and decided to settle in and focus on those two areas.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Dr. Hausman, what kinds of challenges do you see in your business, in this economy or just that your industry faces?
I would say the biggest industry challenge, I guess, is just educating the public on what we do, so that they know that there is an option for aches and pains, short of always taking medication or surgery. That said, I believe there's a time and place for pain relieving medication and or surgery. For any of my patients who come in, if I feel that that's their best way to go, I'll definitely refer them back to their primary care provider or what have you. So it's really just getting the information out to the people so that they know that they do have options. They don't need to be in pain all the time. They don't need to suffer from headaches. They don't need to stop doing what they love doing, spending time with their family and friends and activities, and just getting them into maybe a little bit more of a natural type of pain relief for their aches and pains.
Right, right. It's not always about then taking medication to cure a headache. Maybe there's some kind of...
Exactly. A lot of times there may be an underlying cause, and that's what we're trying to get at as a modality. I'll often refer to physical therapists or to other types of healthcare professionals as well, if I feel that they need almost a team of people working on them to help with their problems.
Right. Yeah. Awesome. Attorney Carrozza, how about you? What kinds of challenges do you face?
I look at the latest financial issues as an opportunity, rather, for the consumer. Now the consumer has the opportunity to shop around, and they're a little more picky these days with the quality and the sort of people they do business with. And I think that centers perfectly with a firm like myself, where we're focused on the client, also on providing top-notch representation and quality products. You know, the recession is allowing people or requiring people to tighten the belt, so they want to definitely look at other options, whereas before they were probably a little bit more free spending.
I think that's true. I agree with that. So, Dr. Hausman, tell me a little bit about your ideal client. My
ideal client would be, I hate to say somebody in pain, but that's what I work with. So, yeah, my ideal client is reeling in agony and have a problem. No, but my ideal client is maybe they've got headaches, maybe they've got lower back pain. It could be sciatic, anything like that. But really, where they see my value is when their headaches, we'll go with headaches, is keeping them from doing something they enjoy. Maybe it's spending time with their kids. Maybe it's playing in their softball league or something like that. And not only can I help them to reduce the pain that they're having, but I can help them getting back into the activities that they love to do. Maybe it's kind of a catch-22, and the best thing for their pain is getting out and walking. And they say, well, I can't do that because of this. That's where I really feel that we've got excellent value coming in there and helping them to kind of right the ship so that they, again, can do the things that they want to do as pain-free as possible. Maybe some modifications need to be made in what they're doing if they're like to work out at the gym or do yoga or something like that. In any regard, just kind of helping to fine-tune the things so that they can, again, just enjoy life the best they can.
Cool. How about you, Attorney Carrozza? What's your ideal client?
I enjoy working with people that are proactive. Okay, with the estate planning piece, the law is preventative, not exactly reactionary, in the sense that, okay, you're in a car accident, you've gotten hurt, you now have to sue for injuries. Estate planning is a little counterintuitive. What we're actually doing is we're planning for a potential problem down the road, and it requires you to be proactive. One of the things I always advise my clients is you get the planning done when you don't need it, because when you do need it, it's too late. So I enjoy working with families. You know, anyone that has minor children has a lot of concern, regardless of where their asset level is. God forbid if something happens to mom and dad, who's going to take guardianship of the child, take custody of that child, raise the child, put the child in school, oversee the health of that child and medical needs. And then on the flip side, if there's assets available through life insurance or perhaps, you know, what the family's been able to earn over the years, those assets need to be put into a trust and be segregated and have a set of instructions of how the assets are going to be managed and also distributed to the children. Children in mass, you know, can't receive assets if they're under the age of 18, so we have to have that trust in place. With regard to the divorce piece, naturally, it can be a very ugly area of the law. You know, unfortunately, there's a lot of emotion that's involved, and as an attorney and as a professional, you have to remain objective and centered in order to be a good advocate for your client. I guess my ideal client in that sense is someone that does have patience, understands that the divorce process is a marathon and not necessarily a sprint. And it isn't about getting revenge. It's about coming to a fair settlement on assets, dividing liabilities, and doing what's in the best interest of the children. So ideally, you know, someone that's reasonable in that arena and also has patience and they understand that they need to move on is a divorce client I'm looking for. But on the estate planning end, I do enjoy, you know, I work with all sorts of people, people that are single, people that are elderly. The bread and butter of my business naturally is also the families, because they're a long-term client. They're always calling me as a trusted advisor when they're thinking about selling the house or they have questions on other areas of the law. So that's ideally what I'm looking for in my practice.
Awesome. So I bet there is something that you do in your business that people don't necessarily know that they would go to a chiropractor or an attorney for. Mm-hmm. Do you have anything that you do that maybe someone might not recognize, oh, I should go to a chiropractor for that?
Sure.
Or I should see an attorney for that?
Sure. It's funny because a lot of times I'll get patients will come into me for one reason or another, and a lot of times it's spinal pain because that's what they associate chiropractic with. And a lot of times they'll be talking to me and they'll say, you seem to know a lot about the different joints of the body. Can you take a look at this, or can you take a look at that? Sometimes it's shoulders. I do a lot of work on shoulders. Knees, there's some things I can do with knees and ankles and everything. Oddly enough, though, arthritis seems to be one of the things that they don't associate my profession with, even though that is something that is directly related to the bones and joints of the skeletal spine. So unfortunately, some people will think, okay, I've got arthritis. It's like I've got brown hair. That's me now. And when it comes to arthritis, a lot of times it's a use it or lose it type of situation with the joints. They're trying to fuse. You have some range of motion left, so whatever that we can help incorporate in there, maybe it's through adjustments, maybe it's through some exercise and some stuff like that, we can really help prolong any, again, unnecessary pain or anything like that that the patient has to go through. Migraine headaches is another thing that a lot of people don't realize that we work well with. I've got a few patients who are monthly migraineurs, and they always have migraines. But we found that once we adjust their neck and take a look at some other things, that we're able to just kind of stave them off so that they don't come on again.
That's interesting. I had never heard that arthritis can be helped by a chiropractor, so you learn something new every day.
Sure.
Attorney Carrozza?
Sure, Ann. I'll answer the question two ways. The first way is what separates my practice from other practices in the area is the fact that I've developed a niche with the estate planning where I travel to the clients. And I found that that is a successful approach in the sense that the client's at ease. They're busy during the day. The last thing they want to do is meet with a guy in a suit at his office and discuss death or disability or some sort of issue that related to that. So we try to keep the process really easy, efficient, and painless. Traveling to the client also allows the client the comfort and the peace of mind that they can kind of open up a little bit more. I find it's a little bit more comfortable to discuss issues at the family table rather than in a formal office setting. The other piece is with regard to the estate planning. I try to take on a collaborative approach. It's more than just creating documents. I always tell people, I'm not selling you, words on paper. What I'm selling you is peace of mind. That you know that if something were to happen, your family is protected. If you happen to lose capacity or become disabled, there are people in place that are empowered to make decisions on your behalf. And in the case of estate planning, it goes beyond that. It's also asset protection. So we're looking at all those things, but one of the pieces that I always bring up is your estate plan has to communicate with your financial plan. So are you working with a planner? Do you have something in place? I can set up the best trust in the world, but if it's not properly funded with life insurance, the trust isn't worth the paper it's written on. So I try to collaborate with other professionals, including CPAs naturally, and then also insurance. Insurance is a big piece these days. In a prior life, I did a lot of insurance defense work. I was on the opposite side of the ambulance chasers. I was defending lawsuits for personal injury, and I was exposed to the fact that people are suing these days not for $50,000 and $100,000, but upwards of $300,000 plus, depending upon the injuries. So you have to make sure you have adequate insurance in place with regard to auto, homeowners, and umbrella policies. And I try to take a look at all that. So I'm adding value to the client by keeping an eye on all that and ensuring that everything's put in place.
Awesome, thank you. So, Dr. Hausman, what kinds of things do you do that help you bring clients back? Now, obviously, you can't walk around with a baseball bat and, obviously, but yeah. So, but what helps your clients make the decision that if they need a chiropractor, if they have any sort of pain, they're going to go see Dr. Hausman?
It's the biggest thing is my philosophy towards care. In my office, and with my wife, who's a chiropractor as well, although right now she's staying home with our 2 young sons, our philosophy has always been get people well as quickly and efficiently as we can, and let's face it, today's it's also as cost effectively as we can, and then get them back out to doing what they like to do, knowing that if they stumble again or they're sore, that they're going to come back. The other thing that we like to do is try to be as available as we possibly can. Obviously, I take appointments, but I also take walk-in patients as well. So if I'm there and you're in pain, we're ready to work on you and get you feeling well.
Right. Now, you mentioned cost effectiveness. Can you tell me, is chiropractic covered by insurance typically, or how does that all work?
Typically it is. Most, if not all, of the major medical insurers do cover chiropractic care. I will always caution the patient to call and check on their policy first, because you can actually choose a policy even though it's a large carrier, maybe a real common carrier. You may have chosen a policy that doesn't have the chiropractic rider on it. That said, we always like to keep our cash prices very affordable as well for the people who don't have that. And we are a provider for all major medical insurance providers, as well as personal injury and workman's compensation as well.
Awesome. That's good to know.
Thank you.
Attorney Carrozza, how about you? What kinds of things do you do that make sure that your clients come back to you?
Well, first off, you treat each client as your only client, and that also extends to prospects. I can't tell you how many times I've hung up the phone with someone, them with the client or the prospect thinking they needed something and they actually didn't, and that pays dividends in the end, because you do right by the people and they call you back again, and they do eventually become clients. When you do have someone that retains your office, you treat them as though they're your only client. You provide them with the white glove treatment, because that's what you would want as well, and they call you back. My business is centered on client-driven referrals, so they are my marketing sales force, and if I do right by one of them, they're going to tell 10 people. By extension, if you do wrong by them, they're going to tell 100 people. So you have to make sure that you're definitely treating your client right at all times, and they're getting the best advice possible.
Right. Now, what types of things do you guys do to grow your business? Are there any types of relationships that you build, or?
One thing that I'm part of a couple of different local networking groups where I'm meeting with local business owners to try to give them a feel for what makes a great patient for me or client for me. And by the same token, I'm learning about what works well for them, because I may have somebody that I'm treating who is perfect maybe for Jason. I've had some people say, yeah, I need a will or an estate plan, and they just happen to be lying there on the table with me. So that's a great way for me to help just kind of build other people's businesses as well.
Awesome. How about you, Attorney Carrozza?
The networking is definitely a big piece, but as I had pointed out, also investing in your clients. Yellow book ads don't go very far when the client is providing you with very inherently personal information. They want to go with someone that someone knows, likes, and trusts. So I rely on the referrals, whether it be from clients or also strategic partners, and in many cases also attorneys. In my industry, there's a lot of different facets of law, and you can't specialize in all of it, but you do hold yourself out as an expert in areas, and that's recognized, and you get referrals from other lawyers. So really, it's about building the relationships, the strategic partnerships, and then also investing in your client base.
Great, thank you. Now, for the final question, I would like to know something about you or your industry that might surprise the general public. For example, I won't give any examples. I won't do it.
Something about my industry that might surprise the general public. I would have to say it would be just the number of things that an adjustment to the spine can be beneficial for. When saying that, I don't mean to imply that there's a cure-all or anything like that, but there have been some other types of benefits other than just musculoskeletal that can result from spinal manipulation and making sure that the bones and joints are moving in the correct fashion. Right now, the profession is actually working hard to do some research. I call it kind of backwards research. They have a lot of anecdotal evidence, but they don't have it in papers and journals as to why it works. And that's something that I know in my school at the National College of Chiropractic, now the National University of Health Sciences, as it's called, has been working on just to try to show what are all the other benefits that happen with the spinal adjustments.
That's very interesting. That's good stuff. How about you, Attorney Carrozza?
I would have to say that the biggest surprise my clients hear is, without putting the planning in place, the catastrophic results that can occur. I always tell my clients that setting up an estate plan is your opportunity to kind of go against the law. If you pass away without a will in place, you're going to resort to default law as far as how your assets pass. And that may or may not be what your intentions are. So the will allows us to at least vary from what state law provides. That naturally deals with death, but also in the area of disability. If you don't have a healthcare proxy or durable power of attorney in place, and you become incapacitated, which means you lose the ability to sign a legal document, to care for yourself, to make medical decisions on your behalf, your family is going to have to deal with the probate court, with guardianship and conservatorship proceedings, which are extremely expensive, time-consuming, and public. If we did some advanced planning and set those two small documents in place, you wouldn't have to deal with the court. So it's really an insurance policy in advance to limit your exposure to dealing with the court by setting up a plan. And people don't realize how catastrophic it is until something happens. And then, as I mentioned earlier, once something happens, it's too late to put in the plan.
Right.
So that's what I would leave you with as, you know, a surprise in my industry.
Yeah.
Sure.
An unpleasant surprise that you can help prevent.
Correct.
Thank you very much. Well, thank you very much, Attorney Carrozza and Dr. Hausman, for being my guest today, for being our guest, for this segment of Strictly Business, which is hosted by the BBA, Bellingham Business Association. The May meeting of the BBA is going to be held at Lowell's Restaurant on May 18th. It's going to feature some state representatives coming in, and it's also our 30th anniversary celebration, so the meeting will go a little bit longer than usual. We'll have a lot of past members and a lot of past presidents and other board members in attendance, so that's going to be an exciting meeting. Again, that's May 18th from 6 till much later. I'm not sure exactly when, 9 or so. For more information about the Bellingham Business Association, you can go to our website. It's www.bellinghambusinessassociation.org. And if you are, interested in joining or just attending a meeting, just get in touch with us. That's it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.